Okay, welcome everyone. I am Mr. Oak, and welcome to the Oak Leaf Company podcast. And this one is going to be a Mr. Oak Slips edition. And I have the pleasure to be talking to Marc and Mary Cook, who are the owners of the Untamed Chef. So why don't you guys tell us a little bit about Untamed Chef, what that means to the city of Chesapeake?
Hi, absolutely. Well, thanks for having us, Gerald. Appreciate it. The Untamed Chef began about 4 years ago now. Mary is a chef by profession. And at that point in time, she was doing private in-home chef.
Okay.
Cooking. And she, prior to that, had been an instructor at school.
Okay.
Culinary Institute of Virginia.
Okay.
I'm gonna pass it over to her in just a minute and let her tell you the story because I can't tell it as good as she can.
And before you do, Mary, just curious, okay, so did you marry into the name Cook? Or did you keep your name?
No, I definitely married into it. I think it was like meant to be, right?
Yeah, it was absolutely.
My maiden name is Tame, T-A-M-E, which is where the Untamed comes from.
Genius.
I've been called many things in my life, and Untamed is absolutely one of them.
Okay.
So when we were trying to come up with a name for the business, we kind of tossed a few things around, and nothing was really sticking, and it didn't love anything.
Okay.
And then Untamed kind of came to fruition, and it stuck. And we kind of contemplated whether it was going to be the Untamed Cook, because I'd like to incorporate him, or the Untamed Chef. I think there's something to be said about certified chef, when you're teaching cooking classes. And I am a certified chef by trade. I'm a chef de cuisine through the American Culinary Federation. I've been a chef in this area for about 25 years. I've been an instructor at the Culinary Institute for about 7 years. And so there was just, something to be said for having that word chef in the name.
Yeah.
But we have a little sign over there. It puts a little cook on the wall. So he's here with us all the time too. And now that we're doing more and more bourbon stuff, it's really just kind of, we're blending both of our passions together, which has been really nice.
So thanks for bringing that up, because again, too, we're talking about sipping on bourbon. So why are we talking about cooking? And that's why it's because, again, Marc told me about this part in here. So why don't you tell me about, because you're the Untamed Bourbon.
That's correct. I'm the Untamed Bourbon and Bites. So my passion is bourbon. As Mary's passion is food. Started picking up that passion probably about 10 or so years ago. And, we just first started just sipping, bourbons casually, cocktails, bourbon and ginger. That was like my go-to. I mean, we were starting off with things like Basil Hayden or Elijah Craig. Standard type of offerings, and like I said, I had some neighbors, they would get together, smoke some cigars, we would drink some bourbon. So that's really where my bourbon journey began. Mary actually had a cousin that lived in Kentucky. So when he would come to visit, he would start bringing us different bottles. That's where I got my first Bookers from,
Oh, gotcha.
And first Angel's Envy. And he would just bring stuff that I had no idea what it was at the time. I'm just learning out, Willet, the pot still.
The
Willet pot still.
Cool bottle.
And the bottle of Boston, it's Kentucky only. You can't get it. So, that was my first bourbon love was the Willet pot still. Since my tastes have evolved a little bit, I'm still a good sipper from time to time, but it's not my go-to anymore. I still have bottles on the shelves that I was collecting because you can never, get it in Virginia at the time. Now you can. So I would always collect that when I would go out of state. But, so it just evolved, and then obviously when COVID hit, right? That's probably when most people's hobby for bourbon picked up a little bit. So just
got enough to do with drink and eat.
That's right. So, then we started experimenting and just buying different bottles that looked interesting. And then kind of started getting into following different YouTube bourbon channels and things of that nature. And that's really when, the passion took off, and I started collecting more than drinking, and then, once we decided, hey, we need to do something bigger. Mary was getting calls from people that used to take her cooking classes at the school.
Okay.
How are you going to, start that program again? Is it going to reopen at the school? She talked to them. They said it wasn't. So we figured, hey, we can do this ourselves. So that's when we decided to open the Untamed Chef. And as we did that, one of the things that we knew that we wanted to offer before we even opened the Untamed Chef was a thing called a chef's table. Okay. Which is where Mary is the chef. She cooks in front of you, a group of people, however many you can fit in here, and that's about 30 you can fit in here for a chef's table. She demonstrates each course. She tells you about the techniques used in cooking. She plates every course in front of you, and it's served. And we started doing chef's table dinners with wine pairings. And then I said, hey, why not? Let's do this with bourbon. Like, we can pair bourbon with the food just as we can pair wine. And this is becoming popular. And you see in places like what your son do, chef's table. It's a bourbon dinner. They don't do chef's tables where the chef is right in front of you, cooking everything, plating everything. It's got to the point where just yesterday, I saw an Instagram ad for Carrabba's doing a bourbon dinner.
Really?
Like, imagine that. An Italian restaurant are now doing bourbon dinners, So it is. And
Bourbon's back.
I guess so. So we said, we can do this. And at first, we didn't have an ABC list. So it was a bit challenging to do bourbon dinners. We had to do them at one-off and get specific ABC licenses. Something like that. And you can only serve so much. You were limited on all the amounts. I think it was like 1.5 ounces per person that you could serve. So, it was restrictive. And we weighed the pros and cons, looked into the full ABC license. Of course, it costs a lot more red tape, paperwork, and things like that. But it's not that bad of a process. The ABC was actually really easy to work with. We've got a great, agent that helped us whenever we needed. So once we got that, then it was like, okay, fantastic. Now we can start doing real, bourbon dinners. And I didn't know this at the time, but, ABC licensees, they have their own special water. So you see the bottles behind you. I don't think there's not an allocated bottle to sit on. Everything up here is something that if you saw on a shelf in an ABC store, you're gonna buy. You're not gonna walk past it. You're gonna grab it, even if you have one already, because you want another of these things. So that's been advantageous to build such a good supply and hard to find supply. Which then I can offer to people at things. So after the dinners, we're like, how can we do more things with bourbon? How can we sell more bourbon? Because we have all this great bourbon that we're accumulating. And when we do the bourbon dinners, we usually focus on one distillery or type of spirit. And you can only serve so much bourbon during 2 to 3 hour minute. So I came up with the idea of this Bourbon and Bites, which is more of a bourbon social club, right? So once a month, we started off doing it like the first Sunday of every month, and we've kind of adjusted that depending on schedules and football too. That's but we like to do it once a month, a bourbon social club for 3 hours, where it's an open type of class where I'm here as the bourbon steward. And we'll talk more about that. I also have another friend of mine who is also a bourbon steward that comes to every one of these. So we've got people with expertise to talk to the patrons to come. We serve a couple select bites that Mary prepares to go with the bourbons that we're offering. So we just had one this past Sunday for Wild Turkey, Russell's Reserve Distillery, where we were highlighting. Mary made a fantastic smoked wild turkey sandwich on a nice pretzel run.
No, I did pop in there. I did pop in for a couple of minutes, and it was phenomenal.
Well, good. I'm glad you enjoyed that.
So, Mary, I know you said you had to go. Before you do, can you tell the audience as far as when you're cooking and how the bourbon merges with the things that you offer here at your facility?
Absolutely. So we really try and incorporate obviously the bourbon into our bourbon dinners, as well as making sure that the food items that we're preparing are going to pair well with the bourbons that we're serving. Mark and I have traveled to Kentucky a couple times now and pick up all the recipe books or all the cookbooks that we can find when we're down there. Obviously, food is something that we love, love, love. So we try and eat at all of the distilleries and check out all the food that they're offering there. And not that I'm mimicking them, but I am kind of using that as inspiration and pulling food items that they're doing in Kentucky and making them here and trying to just make sure that everything kind of pairs really nicely with it.
Okay, awesome. Well, when it comes to the actual Untamed Chef piece, please, if you're in Chesapeake, Virginia, please come down and Mary, why don't you go ahead and give them an address and how they can find you on Instagram and that sort of thing too.
For sure. Yeah, so we are off of South Battlefield Boulevard. It is 1296 South Battlefield Boulevard, closest to like the Hanbury exit. So we're in the Hickory section of Chesapeake. 1296 South Battlefield, Suite 111. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Untamed Chef VA, and you can find us there.
And for those of you who don't know where Chesapeake is, everyone knows where Virginia Beach is. Come on, 20-25 minutes away from here. Okay, so not far. If you're down here, definitely make sure you come check out the Untamed Chef.
And of course, you can always check us out online at our website, which is www.untamedchefva.com. And on there, you'll find the whole class schedule. There's a separate tab with all the classes, the cooking classes we offer, the bourbon dinners that we offer, the bourbon and bites sections. You'll find everything there on our website. And you just book right there on the website. It's real easy.
Great. Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Very much. Good to see you.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Okay, all right. Well, we're back with just me and Mark, so the fellows just hanging out talking about more bourbon. So first of all, you mentioned the term Bourbon Steward. There's a lot of people out there that doesn't know what that is. It's kind of like a sommelier for bourbon. Why don't you explain to everyone what that actually means?
Yeah, I mean, you hit it, right on. It's like a sommelier for bourbon. So there's a place in Louisville called Moonshine University.
Okay.
Within Moonshine University, there is a subset called the Stave and Thief Society. Which, if nobody knows what a stave is, this is your stave, and a thief is a whiskey thief that you stick down into the barrel to pull out the whiskey. That's how they sample it in the warehouses, and so they have a society committed strictly to teaching people bourbon from the beginnings of bourbon all the way through distillation. In fact, the executive bourbon stewardship is what I took. You have to go to Louisville. They do have offer online classes where you can become a certified bourbon steward. When you go to the campus, they call you an executive bourbon steward, and you actually get to distill a batch of bourbon.
Okay.
So as a group, not individually, but as a group, you distill. They have distill at the facility, and you go through the entire process. And it's kind of cool. You don't do it all at once.
Okay.
You do, first you might mill the grain, right? And then you go back into the classroom and you do some more classroom stuff.
Gotcha.
And then you go back in, and then you put it in the fermentation tank and add everything together. And then you go back into the classroom and do some stuff. Obviously, you can't go past the fermentation process because that takes several days. But what they do is they have a batch that was fermented the week before. Okay. So then you take that batch and you run it through and they show you how here come the heads off of it. Okay. Here's the hearts. And this is what we're gonna, use to actually make the bourbon. And then here's the tails. It's kind of neat. And you put that batch into a barrel that day, and then you sign your name on the barrel. And I don't know what they do with it. They're like kind of a contract distiller. Yeah. So they barrel, they age it, and then they put it in their warehouse, and somebody's gonna.
Now I know the University of I want to say Louisville. I know that they actually have an actual course where you get your degree in distilling. So maybe it goes to them. Who knows?
Yeah. I know that Moonshine University, they have other avenues. They've got beverage subsets that help people develop beverages, right?
Okay.
And distill. So they have a whole distillation course themselves there. I know that they sell their stuff, to people. So you can buy a barrel from them. Gotcha. In fact, the batch that we made, we forgot to put the malt the malted Ryan, I think.
Oh, really?
At the beginning, so like he had to like throw it in there. There was one grain that they got left out, and then he was like, "Oh, well, I put it back in, like, you know, hey, it's something different. We'll see how that batch turns out."
Yes, I mean, who knows? Maybe they came up with something else.
Yeah,
too. No, that is.
maybe someone upon something.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to take that course because I think it's phenomenal, especially if you are definitely enthusiast. It's worth it. And I know that you can do the Bourbon Steward one from the same university online, which is definitely at a reduced price compared to that one. I believe that's $75. And also the one in person is about $600.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
Yeah. So it's a great opportunity there. So thanks for sharing that with everyone. But let's go back to the Untamed Bourbon and Bites.
Yeah.
What else can you tell us about that? And about how that's your passion?
Yeah.
And what can people expect when they go to Bourbon Bites?
Absolutely. So really, we're just trying to build a bourbon community and give a local place where, you know, folks can get together once a month at least and talk bourbon, meet other people that share their passion. You know, it's sometimes, I mean, we live in a diverse area where there's a lot of people moving in and out of the area. People moving in, they don't know a lot of folks, so we're you know, giving a forum, a platform to come meet people like-minded like you that like bourbon, enjoy lots of different allocated bourbons that you can't find elsewhere, right?
Sure.
And that's I think a big thing of it too is it's a lot easier for me to get these things, and I like sharing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I like everybody to find, you know, different things and different bourbons and be able to sample these things that you only hear about sometimes, right? It's fun to people for the first time knock in and are like, oh my gosh, you know, look at this, you know, selection. I've only dreamt of, you know, owning, you know, half of these bottles, you know what I mean? So when they get a chance to sample it and see for themselves, is it worth all the hype or is it not? You know, that brings me kind of some gear. You know, I'd like people to experience, and people come and try stuff and before they buy it, because they're like, well, I know I can get that, and a lot of times it's on the secondary markets, you know, in the state that we live in, unfortunately, and they have the means to pay the $200 or $300 over MSRP for the bottle, but they want to try it first, you know.
No, absolutely.
I'd like to be able to give them that opportunity. I'd like to meet a lot of, you know, new people all the time who love bourbon, and you know, we're just trying to get everybody an outlet to come enjoy themselves, talk bourbon with other like-minded folks, meeting friends.
Yeah, and I mean, I will say this because again, I was very discouraged when it came to whiskey in this area. I just didn't think we had an outlet to do that. And I did find a local restaurant that was able to do that, and I got excited about that. But knowing that you're here now, you pretty much again probably even have a better selection that I've seen at some of the local restaurants. So I'm excited to be part of Chesapeake, be part of this whole establishment, so we can talk more bourbon. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, we have almost 200 bottles, you know, in our collection now, and most of those are highly allocated things. That you're not gonna, you know, walk into a store.
Gotcha. Yeah. And a funny story I have to tell really quickly is that me and Marc we actually met at the ABC store in Chesapeake. I was looking for actually that bottle right there. I was looking for the Grain to Glass, the New Having Held 2025 special edition, and has a Chinapia. Well, that's what that name. Chicopit.
I believe that's.
Yeah, it's Chicopit oak is what they use. It's a sweeter oak that they use in this one, so it's very unique. So if I want to try it and podcast it to you. So I was in line, I was asking about that one because at the time I already had the red label deleted and I had the bourbon, but I needed the green to complete the set. And Marc's behind me and said, oh, you're not gonna find that here. And that was like, wait a minute. I said, I got both of them. And then he said, well, let me give you my card. We started talking, and lo and behold, we're here on this one. So glad I met you. I'm excited about taking this bourbon journey with you. And again, too, please, if you're in Chesapeake, reach out. You heard all the information beforehand, but your website is different, or is it still under the umbrella?
No, it's still under the Untamed Chef website.
Okay,
still under the class schedule. There's a separate tab there for Bourbon and Bites.
Okay.
So right now I've got the next 2 sessions posted. December 14th is our December one. It's going to be a holiday party. We're going to have a ugly sweater contest. So if you sign up and come for that, and we sold 15 spots yesterday, so there's only about 10 or 12 left.
Okay.
Because we can only hold 40. I don't want to overcrowd it in here. So it's a limited number of tickets. Again, there's only about 10 or 12 left for December. We're going to do some giveaways since it is December.
Okay.
So please, try to come to that if you can. If you can't make it or it's sold out, January will be our next one.
Okay.
I believe it's near mid-January as well. And there we're going to be highlighting the Willet lineup. I know Willet has not been offered very much in Virginia prior. They were released once a year here. And I have the entire 8-bottle of their core lineup. I don't have any purple tops. I don't have any of the purple wheat,
I started drilling for a minute. We have 14 year.
But we'll have all the other base, and that's the other 8 base Willet bottles to sample.
Okay.
So,
all right.
that'll be in January. And then also once a month, like I said, we do the bourbon dinners.
Okay.
So our next bourbon dinner actually is coming up this Friday, November the 21st. It starts at 6 p.m. There's still tickets available for that. If you're interested, go online to our website and check it out. Purchase tickets right there. We're highlighting Wild Turkey, Russell's Reserve Distillery for the month of November. It's called Bourbon's Giving. So hopefully, and we'll see you next Friday in November for that dinner. Beyond that, the next one is New Year's Eve. We do a big New Year's Eve bourbon dinner.
Okay.
Just to give people an outlet besides, New Year's
standard.
Eve parties or whatever, going out to a regular restaurant or bar. We have these, we do the New Year's Eve bourbon dinner, and I also have the next one for January posted already as well. That's with Heaven Hill Distillery. We'll be highlighting bourbons from Heaven Hill Distillery.
Awesome. That sounds great. Well, definitely make sure this video gets posted before that one. So stay tuned on it. Definitely tell your friends there too. I will be buying my ticket for December 14th because I plan on whatever you're going to win. I'm trying to win that sweat. Whatever it is. I'm going to win that one. Okay, we have bonus footage. I forgot that Mark said he had some hazmat, and I'm a fool for hazmat. So, Mark, why don't you tell me what we have over here?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is from Reservoir Distilling, and they're based out of Richmond.
Okay.
So this past weekend at the Cavalier Hotel was the 7th annual Virginia Bourbon Invitational Tournament.
Okay.
Bourbon Fest, basically.
Yeah.
Mostly Virginia distilleries.
Okay.
Probably about 20 or so Virginia distilleries, a few Kentucky distilleries. Okay. But Reservoir is one based out of Richmond. And this was actually the winner of the
Oh, really?
festival.
On the festival.
Yes.
Okay.
This placed first. It's an 144 proof. This is batch 2. It says year. Doesn't that look like 25 to you?
It does.
I don't think this is 25 years old.
It's 2025 is what they mean, I'm assuming.
I think so. I think that's the year that it was put into the bottle.
Gotcha.
Because most of their stuff is 3 or 4 years old.
Okay.
They age, so this came in 144. This was the second year they did one of these kind of matches there.
Okay.
To me, it drinks well below 144 proof, which is good for a hazmat.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Also dangerous. I got to meet the head distiller at Reservoir. Her name is Mary.
Okay.
She's been distilling there since they opened. She told me that most of their stuff are single mash bills. So I believe this is 100% corn.
Interesting.
And that's what the back of this is confirming. She said that they have experimented with some 4 grains and some other things, but mostly they're 100%.
Interesting. So they do a bourbon and they do a rye.
They do.
Okay.
They do a bourbon and a rye, and they do a bunch of secondary aging and experimental type things. I also have another one from Reservoir. It's called Colin's Milkman, which I believe is the bourbon aged in stout barrels.
Interesting. You said they're out of Richmond?
Stout barrels, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So definitely worthwhile going to. I understand they do a hazmat rye as well.
Really?
And I believe she said it wasn't necessarily ready to bring down here.
Okay.
They also had a special pour for VIPs, which I was lucky enough to sneak into that qualification at the festival, and I tried that, and that was 155.9 proof, and that drank lighter than this. Like it was
Really?
amazing. Yeah, how light that.
Was it a light whiskey or what?
No, it was I think it was a wheat. I think it might have been 100% wheat. But
Wow.
that may have also been one of their four grains.
Yeah.
There was a lot of
Okay.
coolers that was early in the day. So
Okay, and I know you said they average between 3 to 5 years.
yeah.
So this is a 3 to 5 year.
Yeah. And I mean it's pretty dark for
It is.
for the age.
This literally looks like Russell's 15. Just
it smells
just in the bottle.
I mean,
Oh, it has that rick house funk.
which is odd because the way they age is they do age on metal racks. No, I'm getting the distillers confused. They age on the floor. They don't stack.
So do they have it upright?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe they're upright on the floor, which allows more surface area contact.
Yeah, I know that a lot of the
So that's
distilleries do that because of the angel share issue.
Yeah.
I know what I mean. So,
Yeah, you lose less.
Yeah.
You get more surface area in the barrel contact
Yeah.
with the bourbon at all times, so it helps to age it. You know,
Yeah.
it's only 3 to 5 years, but it may seem like a 10-year. You know,
I'm gonna pull that. Russell's give me a little place. Yeah, I'm just curious. Yeah. Wow. Interesting.
yeah.
Okay, let me put this back here. This coveted bottle. Okay, well, our palate's already warmed up, so I'm ready to
All right, cheers.
get into this one. Wow. I would guess this was 115, 120.
Yeah.
Is this finished in anything?
Nope.
This has an interesting.
They battling
Yeah.
on the back end, the funk kind of.
Yeah. This tastes easily like 10, 15 year whiskey. This is
Yeah,
impressive.
they did a fantastic job on this, and I can see why it's won 2 years in a row. The competition, because Mary and the team at Reservoir, great job on this. You've done amazing work with this thing.
And it's still going. So, I wouldn't call this a Kentucky hug, maybe a Kentucky pat, or definitely a Virginia pat.
Right.
Because it's subtle. And this is something that you'll want to check. This is something I wanted to sit down, have a nice cigar, and just continue.
Yes, this would go fantastic with the cigar.
Yeah.
And I the more that you sit with this, the more it's going to open up. You're going to get those different flavors.
Yeah, and this is pretty
aromas.
much, this is kind of almost a neck pour.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I opened the bottle before you got here,
Okay.
just to let it aerate a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I like my bourbon to usually aerate 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But no, they did a fantastic job. And if you grab one of these smoked almonds here, get that smokiness in your pellet, that will pair up. Finish up beautifully with a sip of this.
Hence the name Bourbon and Bites. No, this is great. This is phenomenal. I wish I could get a trip to Richmond. Did they mention that they were selling it at the distillery?
So they sold, I believe they sold out at the
event. Wow.
Yeah. I believe they sold out at the event.
Okay.
So, but the Hazmat Rye should be being released soon,
Interesting.
from what I understand.
That would be a very interesting pour. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Mark, I gotta say, thank you for sharing this with me. This one is awesome.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Sorry you guys can't taste it, but again, you're missing out. But if you're in Virginia and Richmond, definitely check out Reservoir.
For sure.
There's some interesting thing there. It's a unique blend. I mean, that's a great bottle to have in your collection because again, I can't really compare it to anything that I've had.
Yeah.
It's definitely a different taste, but it has that nice brick house funk to it.
Yep.
Which is awesome. Again, well, thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Enjoy.
I will. What you sipping on?